Well, howdy, now that there's Thursday. It's part 2 of the daily. We done good. Now, of course, given that I did grow up in Leawood, Kansas, I have an extra special Midwest quiz for you. What's the plural of y'all? All y'all. Very good. Considering that you are now 1-0 in terms of education for today, let's go ahead and try to make it 2-0 with Liquid TLO. With super good. What we've seen is that TLO did a really unusual fast zergling speed. This helped deal with any potential small fast gateway attacks. Also, it allows TLO to start being aggressive with those speedlings. Given that we only got one geyser as TLO, we have a very early 4th macro hatch. We made yet even more of those wonderful happy time zerglings. Though this is generally terrible for Zerg, because the Zerg is now screwed if the Protoss player decides not to attack. The Zerg player is screwed if he has no economy. All that is pushed aside by this very clever follow-up from TLO where he goes Spire and focuses on those Zergling upgrades very, very early. Really clever. This 4th macro hatch especially works because we're getting the very money and food inexpensive Zerglings. The only thing that the Zerglings are really expensive on is larva. So let's go ahead and step into the later parts of the game and find out what happens next. Oops, my music was turned up loud because I was listening to a little bit of Blue Sky Black Death. Now, I know some Zerg players, actually some players in general, feel like you should be really good at reading your opponent and never have to do this stuff, but I think it's fine here. I'm totally on the other side. I totally am more of the don't scout him, check his front, see what's up, make a judgment from there. But this is pretty easy, right? Just send the Overseer in. And of course it makes total sense. Why are we sending the Overseer in at 10? Because we're wondering, is an attack coming? Why is there no attack? And he hasn't taken a third. Nah. And given that we are indeed Kermit the Frog, we're going to be a total badass and do the ever-timeless scout with an Overseer. And of course TLO, once again, stopping at 58 drones. Would be a terrible decision. TLO still doesn't know. This would be so bad if it were just for defense. TLO actually has how many Zerglings? 86 Zerglings? Most people can't even count to 86. This totally should have gone in, by the way. Sometimes this is good to just hang out here because Protoss will, like, with near 100% consistency, send an observer here and you can snipe it, but, you know, whatever. And look at how brilliantly all this lined up. Because we started our 2 Evo chambers with our layer, our 1-1 upgrades are done. This movement indicates to us that he is not going for the all-in, that he is going for the expand. We're doing some checking. So far, so good. And now a question remains, what to do with our larvae now? Now we can go back to building drones. Ordinarily, we would be upset. Were we to be going for Ling Roach, we would be upset that we built so many Zerglings that we can do nothing with. But because we build Mutalisks, we can do all sorts of things with the Zerglings. So let's do that there, speeding up. So by the way, this I really feel I should have poked in and just gotten some information, but now this is great to leave here because we can snipe observers. We're doing this fun time stuff, and oh, look at that! Oh, look, there's stalkers going this way. Oh, Zerglings coming up this way. Look, they're useful for what we're trying to do. And this is a move that I still think I'm the only commentator who uses this term, and I'm determined to use it, to force it in. This is what's known as a cut or a cut-in. By the way, when I say commentator, I mean the only person. I have heard other people use this before, such as players. Not just, this is the only time that anyone's ever used it is in this daily, and that bothers me as a person. This phrase called a cut-in, this is where you have a target that you want to go for, which is this 3rd, and you have another potential target, which is this 2nd. And what you do is rather than just send the units this way and then up, it is almost always more correct to move in between, to cut in as far as you can, and then to go back out. So we're going to see an example of this. We could send both our troops of Zerglings all the way up. And by the way, this is just cute that he has one Mutalisk there. But we rather cut in this way, see if there's any units that we can pick off, and then cut back this way. Very nice, clean, simple. And all the while, TLO can now use his clean judgment to figure out what to do with droning. He can take another expansion. And the rest of this game ends up being quite clean. It is as though mana has already lost. See here how he cuts in and then cuts back again? Really common play. And of course, it's actually, even though it looks stupid, it's good to like go this way and then come back here and then cut up and then move up. Because here's the safe retreat path and then here's the aggressive cut in, pull back to the vulnerable third. Safe retreat path. It looks dumb. A lot of times people will just right click and the Zerglings like idiots will go back this way. You don't want to do a cut in on a retreat. That is bad. Oh, that's real newbie. And the real reason this is able to be as effective as it is being is just due to this Zergling swell that was defensive initially, but then was able to smoothly transition into offense. And it's a pretty clean next step, where we just build stuff, kill stuff. This is where we start cursing ourselves for being over-eager, but of course everyone gets over-eager. We call it our first heartbreak. It all happens to us, but that's fine. We pick ourselves up, break our metaphor, and continue to build a shitload of units. Excellent. A little bit of lag, no big deal. Easy peasy lemon squeezy, Fabrizi, Parcheesi. The only reason this is as close as it is that, once again, TLO got a little over-eager at the top, but I mean, even so, this game was not close at all in the slightest, even with an egregious error, said Sean, referencing his SAT studying days. Despite this egregious error, TLO just smacked him down. So, I want to rephrase what we just saw in two ways. My StarCraft almost crashed. Okay, cool. Two. For one, we saw... actually, no, they're both the same damn thing, so I'll just say it. ZVP right now, the struggle for the Zerg player is how to deal with stuff going on at the 10-minute mark. Is he going to be going Stargate? Is he going to be going for this 2-base all-in? Is he going to be expanding? That's the huge struggle. We saw TLO do the following. He both did a unique opening that accounted for all the possible ways that we could lose, and he set himself up in a really nice duality where he builds Zerglings that can be used for defense, but if no attack comes and they can't be used for defense, they can be used for offense thanks to the mutas. Love this opening. Now, I want to watch a completely different game. I want to shift gears and examine a really simple... Actually, how are we doing on time? Yeah, let's go ahead and watch this game. I have a long one and a short one. We'll watch the longer one first. Where is it? Where's the long one? Where's the long game? Seriously, where is it? Where is it? Where's the game? This one was good. This one was quite good. Now, I just want to briefly note that in that last game, I don't think that it was just the Mutalists that were really effective. Mana did a really unusual 6-gate fast Robo Bay. So 6-gate fast Colossus play, which saps you of all your gas, so you don't really have that many Stalkers. But, either way, even if mana elected not to do that, you would not win outright as Zerg, but you would be in a comfortable position. So now what we're going to do is we're going to watch something completely different on Daybreak, with TLO starting in the top right and mana starting in the bottom left. In this game, TLO is going to be going for very standard Zerg play. Ling Roach trying to defend to go up to Infestor, and then eventually onto Broodlords. That's the ultra-standardist standard of all time. But it loses to the 2-base all-in. Or so you thought. Once upon a time, I remember talking to Liquid Chef, who is awesome in all ways, shapes, and forms. He has an image of him being an awesome person, like on Twitter and forums and interviews, he's awesome. In private, he's totally fucking awesome. I can't emphasize that enough. So I was talking to him, and I said, yeah, God, I'm mildly concerned about this warp prism that just seems so good. This warp prism immortal sentry. It just seems unstoppable. And he said, it's really easy to hold off. You only counterattack and just build a bunch of spine crawlers in your main ramp. And I heard that, and I saw him try it, and it worked more than half the time, but it wasn't like 95% of the time. It was a little bit difficult to move your units around and attack and defend and be able to make those decisions. We're going to see TLO provide a solution to that. TLO is going to start here. We're going to speed things up. And just note how standard everything looks. A spawning pool at 14, for any of you Protoss players who did not know, a spawning pool that begins at 2 minutes is a 14 pool, and a spawning pool that ends at 3 minutes is a 14 spawning pool. These are all approximations. I do not differentiate 305 from 3. As you'll note, this will probably pop out at like 303 or something crazy like that. Oh. TLO builds a hatchery wherever he so can. 2 zerglings pop out. Great. A queen. Remarkable. And also for any Protoss players who did not know, cross-mapping with the zerglings means they can get to your bases about as early as 4 to 4:15. But even then, on larger maps, it's longer than that. TLO throws down his hatchery. And what? Gets a gas geyser? Nope. It was a trick. That's right. I told you it was going to be a standard game, and Day 9 delivers, damn it. Here comes the extra hatchery. Bam! Or excuse me, the extra queen. The flam. And following this up, TLO's going to make drones. Drones galore! Nothing but drones. This is one of the reasons why I wanted to stab myself in the face in many recent tournaments, just due to the fact that every Zerg player plays like this and every ZVP always, no matter what. The times are changing. Times are changing. What do you know? Oh, the hatch finishes. A queen coming up. Double gas. Around when? Around 6 minutes. TLO's being a little unusual and getting it around 5:45, 15 seconds earlier. I would call that an adjustment more so than a different build. But no big deal. TLO's still building drones. Many drones. Putting drones in gas. Too many. Just pull them back. No big deal. The Overlord is checking what? The gas geyser timings. We have our gas geyser timings. We are expecting the all-in. If we did not see these timings, if we saw nothing here, you would do 2 things as Zerg. 1, you would send an Overlord or a Zergling here immediately. And 2, you would build a Roach Warren, because there's a strong possibility of an 8-minute warp prism. Or not, or an 8-minute warp in attack. Bum-ba-dum-ba. Either way, we're doing a very standard maneuver, which is, oh, I'm safe. Oh, he's double gassed. Oh. And then you just throw down your layer. A Stalker and a Zealot come up to demonstrate that they are, in fact, not as good as 1 queen, and then they retreat promptly. TLO does a smart thing, just builds an extra handful of Zerglings, blah, 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 blah. I cannot emphasize enough how basic this is. Layer, and then Roach Warren, and then Evo Chamber. Zergling speed? F no. We don't get Zergling speed. Yeah, good. TLO floats in, an Overlord, around 8 minutes, tries to check out what is up. But if he can't get in, no big deal. He will overseer it up. This is just all normal, getting this double gas. Generally when the layer is like getting close to done, double gas. A lot of players like to take it when it's halfway. They build one, and then when that one's done, they build the other one. This is just all normal. It's so boring, I can't believe it. Oh, we get Zergling speed. Who'd have thought, who'd have thunk? And TLO pops in here. Sees this and starts to... He gets himself a read that his opponent is going for this play. The biggest thing to read here, we see an overseer. We've gotten some intel and seen an immortal. And most importantly of all, ain't nothing walking down there. Nothing. Nothing. In other words, TLO makes a judgment call at 9 minutes. Judgment call at 9 minutes. Cool. He goes ahead and builds 4 spine crawlers and, oh no, 55 drones. Now, again, we might be in a little teensy bit of trouble if he went for an expand, but we still see no expand. You see TLO poaching ahead. He makes these spine crawlers up here at the top and this Nidus network. He actually made up to 60 drones and 5 went here. 1, and then 2, 3, 4, 5.
Our forces are under attack.
Here comes the all-in push. We're constantly aware that something like this could be happening. Okay. And then when we see this, we're 100% sure that our read was dead on correct. Here we have the 4 spine crawlers, and now we have this Nidus network. This is the cleverest thing ever. Notice the TLO, first and foremost, gets up the Nidus worm at the 3rd base. Why is that? Because it really forces this to be a 2-base all-in. And of course it allows us to hit the front, which is what we were trying to do anyways. If you have any extra units up early, like if your opponent is slow, you can even use those units to like poach in, maybe try to pick off some sentries, do some preliminary damage. Not super essential. But here, look at this. Just insta bust up the front. The huge concern that you would have following this is, how do I stay alive? What if he just counterattacks and wins? And that's what the high ground ramp build all the spines is for. We see that Mana does an extremely risky move attacking here, which is inviting a surround from units from the bottom and units from the top. Notice that there's not actually a 4th macro hatch here. That's one of the sacrifices that TLO's been making in these games. Players were originally saying, damn it, I just need more units. Just 5 more roaches and I'd be able to hold off this unbelievably brutal attack. TLO says, nope, don't want it. Going to invest in more gas a little earlier and get this Nidus network. And this is now a real easy spot for TLO to be in from these units. This is tough, but this is nearly impenetrable. So, usual response from Mana, he just goes and kills what he can. While TLO kills what he can. Now, this looks a little weird, but we have this nice convenience where if at any point Mana decides to bust up this ramp and kill us, we just retreat. This looks weird, but is actually very easy to control as a Zerg player. Very easy. You're a 1 base against a no base. This many bases. No bases for your opponent. And if at any point something's going really, really wrong, you just pull back. So see, look at this. The drones ran from here all the way cross map to here, so that way they can unload up here in the main base. And in fact, we have 30 drones. If you're on 1 base, it means you are low on minerals and high on gas. So going for the infestation pit is the correct play. I'm gonna speed it up just a pinch. Okay, so now that we've killed off his base and he hasn't died yet, TLO smartly just scouts everywhere, makes sure that he sees where his opponent is, and we're just gonna see a very quick playoff. TLO does one of the smartest things I've ever seen. TLO takes the top left expansion. Why? It is the opposite corner to wherever his opponent is at. Really, really simple, but might not be intuitive in the moment. In the moment, you think, "Oh God, I gotta retake my natural." You don't have to do anything you don't want it to. Taking this hatchery, sure, it's nice that it is by the Nidus worm, but even if this Nidus worm weren't here, We can do this and build a Nidus Worm, or just do this and not build a Nidus Worm. We do this, and we take this tower and this tower. That's the best Worm of all. TLO, wanders around, kills stuff off, and then goes ahead and takes this hatch. Hangs out, easy playoff. Very weird, very unusual decision, but very simple with this Spine plus Nidus network. Now, if for some reason, I'll actually come back to the 8-minute mark. If for some reason TLO began to overbuild drones at this point, like right now, overbuilt, and had like another round popping out, no big deal. Make more spines and have a slightly smaller counterattack. But as we can see, up at the 10-minute mark, the counterattack that went on at the front was really strong, really one-sided. I mean, with just, like this moment right here, with like 9 less roaches, this is still scary for the Zerg. Or still scary for the Protoss. And floods of units heading in. I mean, TLO actually sacrificed a ton of useless units from this rally point. What I'm trying to emphasize with all of this stuff is I'm trying to state that this you can execute consistently. This is kind of cute that Mana's going around killing off all this stuff. But yeah, TLO has total control lockdown, and then he moves down his ramp, throws down up all his spines. Easy peasy. A weird game, but a solid game, and a clean game. Now, I'm going to finish this up just for the purposes of you getting to see what happens. Mana does his best to get himself some cloth eye, but TLO ain't going to have that. And then in part number 3, I want to rewatch a very similar situation, where TLO is once again going to be under some serious sick pressure. And we're going to see this technique of Nidus Worm plus Spine on the high ground. Notice that the Spines kept TLO alive in the exact way I mentioned that Liquid Chef said. But now the Nidus network allows us the mobility we need to be able to just counterattack and go freaking kill the Protoss. And I think that more Zergs will begin using this, and it will become a thing that really bothers most people in the matchup. Oh yes, and then TLO gobbles up all the lettuce money. Cool. We're going to watch a game that's going to look a little bit different. It's going to be the ever-infamous Elfie build, where Elfie goes for 4 Phoenix, 4 or 5 Phoenix, and then goes all in. Oh, my door's open, and my roommates are home. I have a roommate whose name is Huckleberry. Isn't that awesome? We call him Huck. Yeah, I'm going to go say hi to them in the break and get myself some more water. And when we come back, we're going to see a variation of TLO dealing with this. And again, it's going to be the concept of Spine Crawler defense plus the counter Nidus Worm for awesomeness. I told you TLO makes my dailies easy. Doesn't he make them easy? Oh, yeah!